Mad Season Show, harassment, mental health, and social media. Without further ado, let's jump into it. Oh, that's loud. Holy mackerel. Okay, we're good.
Hey guys, what's up? Mad Season
such
here,
a good game.
back with another video for you. Is streaming and content creation hard? So, this is very late to the party, but a million years ago there was a bit of a spectacle. There's a streamer by the name of Hassan who, in a pretty dramatic fashion, talked about the difficulties of streaming and how draining it is.
So this is on the Hassan streaming is hard train. Okay, I wasn't expecting that. Harassment, mental health, and social media. Okay, interesting. Okay, so Mad Season's gonna give his take.
Just play the clip.
Yes, a real job can be gruesome. A real job can make you very tired, but a real job doesn't suck the soul out of you. You know what I mean? In the same way that 9 hours of streaming absolutely will. No.
I don't know if I ever said my take on this, but I feel like it's just a stupid conversation because everything is hard in different ways. Like saying that one is harder or easier, or like one is harder in one way, one is easier in the other way. One is easier in one way, one's harder in the other. Like, it's just stupid. It's like, yeah, streaming can be draining, but normal jobs like working a 9 to 5 are absolutely draining too. So it's just like the whole thing's stupid. That's my take. Yeah, things are hard in different ways. Like what?
Oh, no. Social battery wise, unless you're in retail, it's very different. You're out of touch with them. I'm gonna die, dude. There's motherfuckers who are accountants in here and they're misunderstanding what I'm saying.
As you would imagine, this wasn't received very well. It turned into this whole thing because it's essentially a multi-millionaire whose commute to work.
I love the B-roll of the Elden Ring gameplay. It's fantastic.
From his bed to his computer desk, and whose clothes are more expensive than most people's rent. It was seen as a pretty out-of-touch take generally, and everybody was mad for about a week until they moved on to the next controversy. And the whole thing sort of turned into this dick measuring contest of who has the toughest job out there. And it got pretty toxic.
Right.
So the goal here isn't to dogpile, but rather to analyze in a constructive manner. And I wanted to take this into a more broad direction and talk about content creation and mental health in the realm of content creation as a whole.
That's a good topic, yeah.
The first thing to address here is that streaming, video editing, content creation, whatever you want to call it, it's all voluntary. No one is forcing anybody to stream or to make a channel. I think that's a pretty well understood fact. Turning a hobby into a job is a big decision, and you don't need to be on social media to relate to this. This is anything. Painting, music, woodworking, photography, I don't know, things you do for fun. Hobbies are hobbies for a reason, and that's because they're optional. If you don't feel like doing it, there's no pressure to do so, and it's always there for you if you feel like it later. But I think what a lot of people underestimate is that when you turn a hobby into a job, you're relinquishing perhaps one of the most important aspects of that hobby, and that's freedom. You no longer have this freedom to where if you don't want to do it, you don't have to. And I think as humans, we sort of tend to try to resist things that we don't want to do. It's a very natural response. We like our freedom, so one of the most important things in regards to streaming or editing or whatever is to really look down deep and ask yourself, well, just because I can turn this into a job, should I? Is that a good idea? Am I comfortable with the pressures that...
Yeah, it's a fair thing to talk about and consider. I've said this a few times over the years, but I have a couple of friends who got into streaming, and for, you know, all intents and purposes, they were decently successful, especially for just starting off. And then they kind of got into it for a little bit and decided, oh no, this isn't for me. Like, I want to just play games and just do whatever I want to do. Streaming is different than that. It's a lot different than that, and no thank you. In fact, I'd rather work a 9 to 5 and then play games when I want to than to stream. And I was surprised, because for me, I'm like, this is the best thing ever. But multiple people have told me that, and I'm just like, after trying it, I'm like, oh wow, huh, that's interesting. For me personally, I've said this before too. I think streaming games it makes it so much more fun because like when I'm offline and I do something cool in a game, like all I want to be is like, yo, did you guys see that? And like, no, like I feel like it's like a whole different reality shift when you're sharing the joy with the Twitch chat, right? And I know Rectful used to talk about this. It's like once you stream gaming and you're sharing the experience with other people online all the time, and then you try to game off stream, it doesn't hit the same. That's how I personally feel. Like it's more fun to game on stream. It's like it's amplifying the experience, and it's hard to go back to just like gaming alone. I guess technically I'm alone right now, but you know what I mean, right? Like you guys are out there watching this video or watching the stream, and I feel like it's more exciting that way, at least for me personally. So anyway,
I'd go along with putting myself in the spotlight and putting myself under that scrutiny of strangers on the internet. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that an online influencer having a mental breakdown isn't necessarily the rarest thing in the world.
No, yeah, definitely not. Well, here's the thing. We're all cut out for different things, right? Like we all have gifts. We all have pros, we all have cons. We all have things that we, like if you put, like I'm trying to think what I would just suck at doing, man. Like there's I feel like I would like suck at being an employee for just like I would just suck at it, man. Like there's certain things that certain people would excel at. If you're put in the wrong field, it just rubs you the wrong way, right? I think someone who isn't comfortable being on camera with lights in their face and a microphone all day long would just feel so much stress every day to hit go live, and it would just be like really uncomfortable. For me, I've never felt that. I don't know. Maybe it was the way I was raised or something. I haven't really felt the anxiety of like ever like wanting, like I just go live every day. It's like, all right, we're going to, do that. So I think the same thing for someone else could be a very stress inducing experience. And that might just be an indicator that you're in the wrong field. It's like, well, there's a lot of other options out there for you. You can go do that instead. You don't have to do this. Right. So I think anyone in the wrong field is going to push them to a point of like hysteria, right?
Pressure a lot of the time can get to people, and I think that this is more of what Hassan was referring to, in that he was just kind of over dramatic, as streamers tend to be, and lacked nuance, as streamers tend to lack. I think that a lot of the times,
fair enough,
unfortunately,
well, the thing about streamers lacking nuance, and I think that's a fair statement from Mad Season. But you like the thing you have to remember with streamers lacking nuance is everything is live. If you pre-record a YouTube video, you can speak with more clarity and precision because it's premeditated. You can write out a script and then read it. So there should be a bit more accuracy in something premeditated. If you're speaking for 8 hours a day, it is an assumption that you're going to say something wrong, right? Like you're going to say something like, of course, because you're just speaking for 8 hours. Of course, there's going to be something that doesn't like make perfect sense. You're speaking for 8 hours a day, like non-scripted, like off the top of your head, it's like freestyle rap or something. It's like, yeah, you're literally just speaking. So yeah, of course. Yeah. So yes, I agree, but there's a good reason for that too.
People's personalities are just kind of mismatched. You really have to spec into thick skin and the patience talents in order to do it. So think long and hard if you find yourself in a position to make that transition. And really that goes for anything involving public scrutiny, as there's this aspect of pressure that comes along with it. The next thing I want to talk about is to kind of share my experience and struggles with mental health on social media. For those who know me, this is kind of a rare moment. I'm an extremely private person. In the 10 years I've been doing this, I've rarely ventured outside of the realm of World of Warcraft, let alone my personal life, but I think it's important to mention because I really want to get across to you how I relate to all of this, because I think it'll make it a better video. So here goes. So while you really don't know much about me on a personal level, I'm sure it was pretty easy to tell that in 2021 I was kind of struggling. This was the year where I announced that I was quitting WoW. I wasn't making any more videos, and in general, you could kind of tell that my excitement and optimism had been replaced with jadedness,
nice
frankly.
Parries.
Yeah, I was pissed. A lot of it had to do with personal stuff. 2021 was the year where someone in my family was struggling with their health, and I was having a really tough time in accepting that and dealing with that, as I'm sure many of you can relate.
Fair enough.
And
yeah.
For me, editing and content creation had always served as the sort of sanctuary for me, almost, where I could focus on something constructive and fun whenever I'm having trouble. But as you may know, 2021 wasn't the best year for Blizzard, to say the least. It was a year marked by just controversy after controversy, such as Blitzchung, Warcraft 3 Reforged, 2 bad expansions back to back, terrible PR all around, the level boost, which really pissed me off, if you didn't notice. Told you so, by the way. And of course, later, as I was quitting, the sexual harassment lawsuit. So, yeah, it was a bad year, to say the least. I said this in my previous react, but whenever these controversies went down, not just Blizzard, everyone associated with them sort of got this trickle-down effect. I mentioned that I happened to be streaming Classic when the Blitzchung thing happened, and my stream was brigaded by a bunch of people telling me how evil I was for streaming Blizzard games, making videos.
Dude, that is so... I got the same thing, man. Like, what the... Oh, yeah, that was wild. Hey, Revive Trust, thanks for the Prime. I got the same thing. It's like, you're an evil person because you're on WoW. It's like, dude, you were playing like 40 minutes ago, man. Like, pipe it down.
Videos about Blizzard games, delete your videos, stop your stream, and, you know, all manner of ridiculousness. And my videos, too, were getting similar comments. And again, this is where having that thick skin trait I mentioned earlier becomes quite useful. And, you know, this is no excuse at all. I'm a believer that everyone is responsible for their own actions, but with all of this going on in the background and these controversies and my general dissatisfaction with the game and what I saw as a great betrayal, the stress meter was just off the charts until I felt like it was really affecting me and my content in negative ways, to the point where I just said, you know what, I'm really burnt out. This is negatively affecting my mental health at this point, so I'm done. And from there, I kind of went into hibernation. I popped in.
It's interesting to hear the story. Like, we all have different stories. For me, like, when people in my stream said that, I'm just like, you're an idiot, and moved on. It didn't affect me at all whatsoever. But there has been things that have affected me. And like, super quick story time. I used to stream my workouts every day on stream here on Twitch. And I did that for like, what, 2 years or more, every morning. And well, one, I really liked it. I thought it was a really cool experience to share working out on Twitch, sharing health and fitness. That's like what I'm all about. That's what I love. That's what I think about and do for a lot of my time. So it's like, it's awesome to share that. But I noticed my mental health declining like 6 months in, 7 months in. And at first I didn't know what it was. I was like, what is going on? Why do I feel like really crap? Like, my mental health was not good. I was like, just feeling terrible. I was like, what the heck? So what I do when I feel terrible is I audit my lifestyle, which I've talked about before. I audit my day. I audit what I'm eating, my sleep, hygiene, my thoughts, like all that kind of stuff. Like, what's not adding up here? Why do I feel like crap? And it was an idea, a theory at first. I was like, well, maybe I need some time to myself, to think, to reflect, to you know, take care of myself, right? And that used to be my workout every day, but now I'm streaming my workout, turning the stream off, and then going live again playing games. So I wake up, I stream my workout, stream games, go to bed, wake up, stream my workout, stream games, go to bed, wait like 6 to 7 days a week. And I was like, wait a minute. I don't have time to myself to just like think for a second. I don't have time for myself to deload, to process emotions, process thoughts, etc. So after about 6, 7, 8 months, I kind of started thinking about this more. Then after about a year or two, I was like, you know what? I'm going to test it. I'm going to take a week off of workout streams just to see. And I took a week off workout streams, which of course meant I was still working out, but just not on stream. And I had an hour to myself. Oh my gosh, what a game changer. Best decision I've ever made. Best decision I've ever made. Was it tough? Yes, it was hard. But like, this was 2 years ago now, or 3 years ago. And like, it was such a critical choice for me. I need that hour to myself every day to fight my demons, to process thoughts and emotions in my head to like just be alone and hit my workout. Or not even every day, just even a few days a week. But if I start monetizing that through live streams on Twitch and working out, and I've shared this story many times, I just think it's really appropriate here. Anyway, for me, that's what was necessary. So I stopped them, and that's why I don't do them anymore. If you were wondering, I still share my workouts on Instagram all the time, which my Instagram is Josh Lujan, which is my name. I linked it in the chat. You can probably find it somewhere with a quick Google search. So I still do my workout stuff, here and there on Instagram, but by and large, I kind of need that time to myself. So we just have different experiences on like, we're talking about the same type of thing with like mental health and social media. So it's cool to hear his experience. For me, it's like, yeah, people can flame me. It's really, I don't know if I have thick skin or if I just like don't care. But if someone comes in the chat and they're like, hey, sorry, you're a noob or something, or like, dude, like it doesn't really bother me that much. I usually don't even ban them, to be honest. I'm just like, oh, okay, that's what you think, and just like keep moving on. Anyway, let's keep playing this video. That was like kind of a long story time. I tried to do that in under like 2 minutes. That was
Been
tough.
here and there to post some random videos, but for the most part, I was just focusing on my personal matters and trying to get everything back on track, taking care of not only my family, but also myself as well, and sort of just healing. Overall, I would say that YouTube
Loretta was one of my favorite fights in all of Elden Ring. Loretta was awesome.
and everything has had a very positive influence on me. I love what I do. I'm very grateful to be able to do what I do. But, just like with everything in life, it can't all be sunshine and roses 100% of the time. And I'm very familiar with a lot of the pressures and mental health struggles within the social media sphere and how it can bring a lot of negativity. I think where it can get really bad is a lot of these content creators just get completely consumed by their social media presence, and they kind of lose touch not only with their audience but also themselves. I think a lot of the times they neglect their actual social lives in favor for their social media lives, and replacing the support of real physical friends with online friends.
Oh yeah.
Or even their audience. When
Definitely.
the parasocial relationship is discussed on social media, more often than not, it's focused on the invested, the viewer. But I absolutely think that content creators are susceptible to this too, not to just any one individual person within their community, but instead their community as a whole,
Ooh,
this sort of amalgam of people who interact with their content. They totally lean on them emotionally and in general put far too much weight on relationships that are ultimately built upon shaky and fickle foundations. When you do these things and you open yourself up like that and you share very, very intimate details about your life, you make yourself vulnerable. I think that being able to shrug off online harassment and hate doesn't have to do solely with willpower, but also taking measures to protect yourself. By sharing intimate details in your life, what you're doing is you're giving strangers a say in your life. It's very easy, in fact, to shrug off a personal attack if that person doesn't know you personally. I mean, how can their words have any actual weight? They're just online shit talkers. They're a dime a dozen.
True.
But if you overshare and you blur this relationship between content creator and viewer, which should always be entertainment, these people know you much more intimately, and therefore their words have much more weight. This is one of the reasons why I'm so private. It's because social media is just brutal. This video.
Yeah, when I was younger, I think I had a big desire to like be like a vlogger or something and like share all of my life, right? IRL, stream, vlog, all that kind of stuff. As I get older, I have less and less and less of a desire. I don't know if it was like getting married or having a baby or like all, like everything. Like I'm just like, it's kind of nice to like stream, be live, hang out with the boys all day, and then like be off versus vlogging like every little detail. So my opinion on that's changed. I thought that would be really cool. And I guess what also changed my opinion is I did a vlog or a couple of vlogs, and I was like, yeah, that's a lot. I don't know. very like mentally draining, but also very yeah, I don't know if I wanted, like, I was like, I don't, it was like in my mind for many years. I was like, I don't know if I want to do more of that. And it gave me an appreciation for people that do that, because I'm like, man, that comes with a lot of other stuff. But yeah, as I get older, I kind of agree with Matt's piece, and it's like, it's kind of nice to just have like a private life going on, and then you make content. Private life, make content, versus like having every little detail of your life posted online. I don't know. I think 10 years ago, if you asked me, I'd be like, no way, bro. Like, I want to vlog or do more IRL, like all that. And I'm just like, gaming is pretty awesome. And I think Mitch Jones has felt similarly, right? Like, I think Mitch is, I've talked to him off stream, and I think he's said this on stream too, but like, when he games, he has fun. But once it starts like bleeding into like IRL personal stuff, it's like, it gets sour a lot, right? And it's just like, okay, yeah, just gaming is fun, you know?
Video is partly inspired by another one I'm working on, World of Warcraft's Famous and Infamous Players Part 5. And one of the people I'm researching is Rekful, whom most of you will immediately recognize. I think that there's a lot more to his story than online harassment. Near the end of his life, he really struggled with mental health issues, and the more sociopathic wastes of the internet saw this as an opportunity to attack, which I'm sure didn't do any favors for his mental health.
It's hard to watch, yeah.
He always came across to me as a pretty sweet and sensitive guy. And, well, here's just an example of how people treat a sweet and sensitive person who's vulnerable.
Yeah, this is really hard to watch for me, guys. Gosh.
Every day, you know? Someone's telling me to kill myself in my chat. Like, my life isn't worth living and doesn't improve anyone's life in any way, right? And you like watching me, so you shouldn't tell me that stuff, right? Because I feel like I just want you to know that I'm serious. Like, I want you to know that I'm really affected. So look at me, okay? Like, maybe you guys will stop.
Generally, in these online communities, unless there's this crazy drama happening, most of the people in them are pretty nice. But unfortunately, it's also human nature to focus on the negatives, and even a small percentage of toxic douchers within a community can really get to you if you allow them to. Online anonymity and the lack of fear of getting punched in the mouth really brings out the most cowardly and ruthless traits of people. So when talking about social batteries in the context of social media, understand that every content creator, when they reach a certain size, will get comments like this daily. And I really just want to stress that you have to be able to shrug it off, and take these steps to protect yourself, and be careful with what you share, lest you relinquish power to those who would seek to harm you, or I'm sorry, you're just not going to make it.
Yeah.
I think that there's a little bit more nuance to it.
It is interesting too. Like, the bigger audience you get, the more haters you're going to get, right? Like period. If you have a stream of like 200 viewers, like, yeah, you'll have haters. If you have a stream of 2,000 viewers, yeah, you'll have haters. That's you'll have a lot more. 20,000, oh my gosh. Like, I've done some streams with like 10 to 20,000 viewers, and it's a lot for me. When that happens, it's like, dude, there is so many people in the chat saying crazy things, and it's like almost impossible to moderate. It's just like, what? Whoa. So like, to some degree, like I can't even one-to-one relate with like what Asmongold or Hassan or like Soda Poppin or someone, like some of these guys with like 10, 20, 30K viewers. It's like, it's a whole nother level, you know? I don't think I've ever been like broken by chat, but I've been close, and it was every time it's been like 10 to 20K viewers on the stream, because at that point it's less of an audience and more of a mob. Like, that's the best way to explain it. It's a mob, man. It's a mob, and like, if you say anything wrong, they're out to get you. With like 200 viewers, I feel like it's way different. It's just more of like a community vibe, in a couple thousand. And I've been streaming long enough where I started with one viewer. I've streamed with a couple hundred. I've streamed with a couple thousand. I've streamed with tens of thousands. So it's like I can kind of feel it out. But for me, I don't know. The couple thousand marks usually seems pretty calm and tame. But once it gets above 7, 8, it's like, whoo! Woo!
A lot of the times, influencers share so much because there is something to be gained. Parasocial relationships can be beneficial. The whole sponsorship industry relies upon it. Like, I'm pretty sure Chiefs players don't really care this much about State Farm that they make 400 commercials for it. Humans are weird. If we see someone we're familiar with promoting a product, there's some sort of subconscious tendency for us to buy that thing, even if we know that it doesn't make sense to do so. And beyond sponsorships, the more connected and invested your viewers are to you, the more likely that they'll watch your content to support you, not just emotionally, but financially. Not to give you the impression that everybody has these shady, ulterior motives and they're out to get you and use you. I think that's a pretty unhealthy way to go through life, but it's understood that the more invested the viewer is, the better it is for these influencers. And at the same time, it can totally backfire on them as it makes them more vulnerable. I think that a lot of content creators fail at these steps, which causes a lot of unnecessary pain. Or maybe they're simply unable to take these steps in order to tend to themselves. Either one, they've made themselves financially dependent on it, or two, they're just afraid of falling out of relevancy. The world of social media is always on the move. It's push, push, push all the time. And there's a lot of pressure associated with that to keep going, or else you'll just be forgotten. And even taking as much as a week or two off can be enough to drastically hurt a streamer's career.
Yeah.
And they know this. So sometimes it's
one of the things that I've struggled with, and I've shared this before pretty openly, is like taking time off. Like in the last 10 years or 12, geez, it's been 12 years. Like the longest I've taken off was my honeymoon, which was 10 days. And that was not easy for me to do. Like, of course, I had a blast and it was really good to get away, but it was really hard for me to get away for those 10 days because it's like, I don't know. It's like leaving a baby or something. It's just hard, man. It's just hard. So that's been my experience. And I think like over the past 10 years, besides my honeymoon, I haven't really done like a vacation of like, oh, let's just like leave for like a week or two. Like, you know, I mean, we did the honeymoon, of course. And I've done little weekend trips here and there, like little 3-4 dayers. But it's been hard to like commit more than that. Because I think it's based off of fear. And the fear is that like when you lose relevancy, right? So that's one of the things that I struggle with personally. For other people, not so much, right? I know, I won't say any names, but there's some streamers that have the opposite issue. They have the issue of staying consistent, right? Actually going live, right? I struggle with the other end of that, complete other end of that. We've been doing the thing Monday, 6-7 days a week for, well, now we're doing 5 since the baby, but 5, 6, 7 days a week for 12 years. But it's hard for me, it's really hard to step away. Really tough.
It's not as simple as just don't stream, as the anxiety of returning to an audience of 50% the size can outweigh the benefits of time off. It can actually cause more stress and make things worse for some people. Again, this is all by choice. Let's reiterate here. I'm not saying that this is necessarily unfair. I'm just saying what happens, but simply quitting slowly but surely over a streamer's career becomes a more and more daunting prospect. During their time dedicated to their online presence, this black hole in their CV grows larger and larger, and a lot of the times they aren't building life skills that are really useful or relevant in today's job market. They're not pursuing an education because they're laser focused on social media. And worst of all, they've attached their value to it while also happening to be in one of the most volatile industries that I can think of personally. Humans are vain by nature. It feels good to have your opinion valued and your voice be heard. And I think that once people get it, their worst fears become losing it. I think you can see this reflected within, of all things, the wrestling industry, which has a disproportionately large amount of depression, drug abuse, alcoholism, self-harm, you name it.
Interesting. I wasn't aware.
You know, these guys are center stage with thousands of people cheering them on, and they're surrounded by fandom and admiration, but eventually everyone's time comes to an end, and you kind of see them desperately trying to hang on to it at 80 years old, pulling their oxygen tanks around the ring. It's sort of like a drug, honestly, and the high that you get from that is inversely proportional to the low that you get from losing it.
Wreckful used
If
to
you want
talk
a good
about that
idea
a
of what I'm
lot.
talking about, you should watch The Wrestler by Darren Aronofsky,
I haven't seen it. I
which
should
tells
check
the
it out.
story of a wrestler played by Mickey Rourke who went from the top of the top to rock bottom, and it kind of goes over a lot of the shame, regret, embarrassment, and other emotional struggles that go along with all of that. But getting back to this concept of the social battery, where the more you interact with people, the more drained you feel.
Wreckful used to talk about that in context in relation to World of Warcraft Arena. Like, you win and it's like, of course I won. And you lose and it's like the worst feeling ever. So when you have something that disproportionate, it's like the lows are low. It's like, this sucks. And the win is like, got another win. And it's like when you set yourself up in a situation like that, it's kind of like a lose-lose, because like the highs aren't high anymore at all. The highs are just like another day, and the lows are like really low. So you're just going between like a normal and a low like all the time. It's like, ooh, you know? And I think a lot of people that have played, not even like content creators and streamers, but have played ranked games at a competitive and professional level for an extensive period of time can understand exactly what I'm talking about.
Feel mentally. While this was dramatized quite a bit here by Hassan, and while streamers and content creators have freedom that people can only dream of, there is this dynamic to consider of, relentless online harassment, the sunk cost fallacy, where they dig themselves deeper and deeper into a hole in a constantly moving industry where if they were to quit, they'll be in a much tougher position professionally than somebody who worked a more conventional job. So the end result of all of this and what happens is that they find themselves in this trap where they're really burnt out and they're struggling, but they can't seem to get out of this rut, which 9 of 10 times results in a big blow up or meltdown, or tragically worse. And the worst part is that the more erratic and dramatic they behave, the worse it gets. They get completely dogpiled. These online hate mobs are formed. And, I need to point no further than cases like Etika, Hana Kimura, Wreckful, and so on. I think they kind of speak for themselves. People who are vulnerable and need help, who also happen to be in what can be one of the most abusive environments of the modern era. It's in my opinion that social media and society as a whole sort of have this tendency where the more popular or the more famous a person is, that the more deserving they are almost in being ridiculed or abused. I think that this happens for a variety of reasons, some being simple envy of the lifestyle of the celebrity, others taking the willing choice of putting yourself in the spotlight and using that as an excuse to be abusive to a stranger to make them.
Yeah, I think there's this, I mean, it is a truth, I guess. If you put yourself out on the internet, if you put yourself online, then you have to understand that comes with drawbacks. That comes with some repercussions. Like, people are going to treat you a certain way, right? I don't know if it's a great excuse, but it's like, it's a fact. It's a reality, right? It's a reality that, like, if you put yourself out there, people are going to absolutely crap on you, family friendly, and it's not going to be good. But it's one of those things that, like, if you want to pursue a career in social media, Twitch, YouTube, blah, 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 it's one of the things that you have to, like, accept. It's like, you have to sign that off. Like, okay, yep, people are going to be awful to me. Okay, I'm fine with that, but if you go into it, like, thinking, oh, this isn't going to happen, like, ooh, you're in for a treat, because it will, right? But it's like, it happens to anyone, right?
Themselves feel better. And I think also in the sense of people believing words to be diluted the more popular a person is. For example, saying something incendiary to someone who has 10 million followers isn't going to have the same effect as saying the same thing to someone with 10 followers, because, you're just one tiny voice in a sea of endless fandom, so what does it matter? Just say it. Moreover, I think that if a
Diffusion of
particular
responsibility,
person
right?
or content creator is at the center of controversy, it's likely that many people are saying similar things. So there's a herd mentality element of,
Absolutely.
well, everyone else is doing it, so it's okay for me to do it as well. And this just gets out of hand really quickly. And it's really a shame that only after these content creators lose their battles against depression and mental health, everyone's all empathetic. But when it was actually happening, everyone was more than happy to join in on the dog pile, because who doesn't like beating a piñata around? As an ending note here, I'll leave with some advice to the creators. If you ever find yourself in a position where it's feasible to turn this into a job, really take a long moment of introspection and ask yourself, just because I can, should I? Do I have a thick skin?
Yeah.
Things are great now, but what happens when they're not great? Do I have a backup plan? I say that
I think in 2024, especially among young kids who may or may not be watching this video or the stream, they have this like idea that the best job ever could be like streaming or YouTube. And I think, I mean, I personally kind of think that's true, and I think it's great. But there's my point is, some people are cut out for it and others aren't, and we're all different. So be honest with yourself, look yourself in the mirror and think, am I cut out for this? Is this something I would actually like? And a good way to do that is just by testing it out and trying it. If you like it, then keep going. If you don't, then stop, right? But I think a lot of people force this fake ideal of like, this is going to be the end all be all, this is amazing, this is the dream, when in reality, it's probably like a very small subset of people that are really, 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 really cut out for it. And is that you or not? Like, be honest with yourself, right? It's probably a smaller amount of people than you might think.
Remain grounded in your personal life and don't sacrifice too much for your online presence. Be careful with what you share, because there are those who can and will use it against you. And don't be pessimistic and try to find the worst in people, for sure. But at the same time, just take measures to avoid creating unnecessary vulnerabilities. You know, it's that old saying, hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. I think in doing this, the less reliant you are, in many ways, financially, emotionally, on your social media presence, and the less reliant you are on it, the less pressure you're going to feel, and the more you can focus on just making better content for your viewers. I think everybody benefits, the creator, the viewers, everyone benefits from taking this strategy. But that's about it. Please excuse the lackadaisical editing on this one. I'm going for something a little bit different here.
I liked the editing. I had a good time watching these fights. Maybe if you didn't play Elden Ring, it was boring, but I was like, how did this guy hasn't been hit once? Those parries are insane. Nice dodge, nice jump, nice like nice stagger. Like, I had a good time watching it.
As you can tell by the upload pace on this channel recently, I've really been inspired with a lot of ideas.
They're great ideas.
So much so that I kind of have more ideas than I have time to edit. So every now and then, when I'm not doing the edited stuff, if you guys don't mind, I'd like to do a bit more relaxed project such as this.
I thought it was
But let
perfect.
me know what you think. As many of you have seen, I've been kind of experimenting with the direction of the channel lately, so I would like to see what you guys think of all of this. I should also say this is not mental health advice.
I would say, bro, I don't know about other people, but like, I've been loving the Mad Season content lately, like probably even more so. I think that the structure and the context of the video is like fantastic.
I'm not a mental health expert. I've just been on social media for a long time, and I've seen a lot of content creators come and go, many in dramatic fashion, and I just want to put this out there. I feel like if it has the chance to help people navigate the world of social media a bit more guardedly to save them some unnecessary turmoil, I think that's worth it. So I just wanted to give you my perspective on it, as an editor at least, but I would also like to see your guys' take on all of this from the perspective of a viewer. So, you know, what do you think as a viewer, the relationship between you and the people you watch? What do they do right? And what do they do wrong? I'd be interested to see. That's about it though. Like the video if you liked it, because I'll see you in the next one. Peace.
That was such a different spin on what I thought this video was going to be, and I loved it, man. I loved it. Well done, Mad Season. Well done. Yo, chat, you guys enjoy that one? I really enjoyed that one. Back, boys. We're caught up. We're here. We're vibing. Mad Season, everyone. Oh, dude, my chat just broke. Twitch chat, I can't read you for a second. Just know that I love you. I can't read what you're saying, but I do love you.